What's going on, people? Welcome to United View. What's going on? What's going on? I can see you guys in the comments. Happy afternoon, happy Saturday afternoon. A lot to get into on today's show. First of all, obviously, customary few minutes late. I ain't gonna lie to you lot. YouTube's been bugging out. And normally I would just blame KG. But let me know. Let me know in the comments if anything kind of bugs out a little bit or annoys you lot a little bit. But I think we're good, innit? Let me know that you can hear me all right. Drop a little green sign, little thumbs up, little okay sign, whatever you want to call it. Let me know in it, but we're good. I believe we're good. VK says all is well in Bangkok. Flex hi Flex from Cape Town, says Timmy Adams, and Hakimi says big man. Yeah, 100%. So we're good, innit? We're good. Couple. So yeah, YouTube's doing a bit of a madness, but it ain't gonna stop us, innit? It's not gonna stop us. We got a little bit of a Declan Rice update for you lot as well. And the likes of Edison Cavani, Mason Greenwood, want to talk about that. Okay, there's a lot of green ticks or white ticks with the green backgrounds in the comments. Big up yourselves. There's a lot to talk about. Shout out for everyone showing love yesterday for Sky Sports as well. When I was on there, it was dope. It was sick. The energy was sick. And all of you lot's love was just absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And to the people who didn't want to see me on there, thank you guys too, because you lot are absolutely beautiful as well. Oh, so sweet. Big up to all you guys. Big up the haters. Very few of them, but big them up too. Always gotta have love for them. Right, let's go. Let's move. Right. Mason Greenwood holds the key. This was written in the Manchester Evening News, but this is a bit of a common theme. But I did want to talk about this, especially because it's quite quiet now as well. There's not loads in terms of imminent arrivals or discussions with clubs right now. There's a couple of little bits floating around, but this seemed to be quite an interesting take. And we've all spoke about this as well. To be fair to us, we've all kind of had our say on this. At various different points with the Mason Greenwood development discussion, because it's not an argument, it's a discussion. And basically, what they were saying is that Mason Greenwood holds the key to Man United's transfer activity, because if he can if he can smash it up front as a number 9, then when Cavani leaves at the end of the season, we might not need Erling Haaland. We might not need to shell out on 150 million for Erling Haaland. Now, this is a big discussion point, because I've got my thoughts on it, and I know you guys got your thoughts on it. KG was kind of talking about there's a pathway to Haaland if we want it to be there. Do you know what I mean? Especially if Kane gets his move to City. Mbappe was spoken about as a target. The Mbappe thing, I think, will never happen. I think he's got his heart set on, you can never say never, but I think it's highly unlikely. I think he's got his heart set on Real Madrid. I think Haaland seems like the most viable, doable option for us to be in the conversation for. If you think about it, next year, let's just say hypothetically Harry Kane does go to Man City, which I kind of just hope he does now, because that would just take up a space. Even though I would take Harry Kane at Man United, but clearly it's the City situation. Let's say you put him there. Lukaku's gone to Chelsea. Liverpool don't spend massive on a striker, so they're never going to get a Haaland for 150 million, 120 million, whatever it may be. Never going to happen. Spurs are Spurs. That's not going to happen. So that leaves us in the Premier League as the most viable option for him. You look at Real Madrid. Now, this is the only thing I think. You look at Real Madrid. If Mbappe leaves Real Madrid from PSG, then there's a space there. Juventus, I don't think are going to go for Haaland next year. That doesn't really fit. Bayern Munich, still got Lewandowski. Will he be there next year? There could be an opening there. I see it being between us, PSG, and potentially Bayern. But if Mbappe re-signs a new deal, imagine they win the Champions League next year, PSG, or they have the season of a lifetime with Messi and stuff, and Mbappe goes, I'm going to sign a new deal because he can go for free next year. We got a clear pathway alongside maybe and Lewandowski stays at Bayern Munich. I believe we have a clear pathway to Haaland. But flip that and park that and leave it. We're talking about Mason Greenwood basically superseding where we think he's going to be in a year's time. Or maybe not even superseding. You may see it as, actually, I think Mason Greenwood is that good that in a year's time with extra development, learning off Cavani this year, I think we can gamble and go with Mason Greenwood as our number 9 out and out next year and get someone below him. I don't think that's the way to go. I think when Cavani leaves the football club next year, regardless of how well Mason Greenwood has done, I think we need to go and buy a striker. Now, obviously, I want that to be Haaland like you lot do. Of course, we all want it to be Erling Haaland. But if it isn't Erling Haaland, I still don't think it should just be solely Mason Greenwood. And that for me is regardless of how well Mason Greenwood does. If Mason Greenwood bangs 25 goals this season, that would be unbelievable, especially if he does it mainly coming from the 9 position. I'm here for that. But it's still a lot to put on his shoulders. What would he be by then? 20? Going on 21? It'll be a lot to put on his shoulders. And it'll be stupid to say, well, we've got our striker, we don't need anyone else. I think Martial, a decision will probably be made by then, whether he's going to have a future. I think this year's a big year for Martial. Hopefully we can get him playing. But we will need to go and get a striker, and the release clause will kick in with Erling Haaland. How do I see Mason Greenwood panning out? This is another thing as well. If Mason Greenwood, right, continues in good form, I know it's only been 1 game, but let's say Cavani's obviously not going to start tomorrow. I think there has to be a real catastrophe of injuries for Cavani to start tomorrow. And that's not because I don't want Cavani to start, but Mason Greenwood played really well against Leeds. You're not going to change that. Cavani's only come back into training the last few days. So he ain't going to start against Southampton. Let's say Mason Greenwood plays really well again tomorrow, scores a couple of goals again, goes again the week after, scores against Wolves or assists, or just, drops a casual 7, 8 out of 10, basically doing his thing. There's actually an argument that Cavani, right, has got his work cut out to displace Mason, because really and truly, if he's in form, if it ain't broke, you don't fix it, innit? Like, we're Man United. Just because we got Edison Cavani doesn't mean he has to play every game. If Mason has seized the opportunity to do what he needs to do in the absence of Cavani and Martial, Mason, the shirt's yours, bro. I ain't going to change it. Especially because we played Southampton, then Wolves, and then we got an international break. Yes, it's more time to Cavani to get up to speed and stuff, so he'll be ready after that. But again, it's as you were. If Mason hits the ground running, I want players playing that are in form. Do you know what I mean? So until they go out of form or it starts not working a little bit, if someone's, got the hot streak, I'm into my basketball. If you're on a hot streak, you're banging threes, you're hitting twos, you're in the zone. Everything you touch is turning to gold. Then you're in. You're in. Omar says Cavani is dangerous. I agree. Of course he's dangerous. United need a CDM and a striker. Get a CDM this window and a striker next summer, says Charlie. That would be ideal. Of course, we're still in the market for CDM. Definitely not going to get a striker in this window. I can't see that happening. I'll be very surprised if that happened. And VJ says Haaland and Mbappe won't be in the same team. They won't be in the same team. Those two have huge egos and want to be the star of their team. Hear you on that one. And he's already said he wants to go to the Prem, so maybe rule buying out too. Fair enough, that's true. Haaland did say he wants to come to the Prem, so that's another reason. But I'm just thinking, you never know. If Lewandowski does leave there at the end of this year and Bayern come with the big money, he might be tempted. I don't want a striker. Mason will eclipse them all, says Paul Falugo. See, that for me is the one where I'm not really sure. We obviously don't know. Mason looks really good right now. He does. He's growing into it. Am I there? I don't know. It kind of just says it's bugging out a little bit. I think I am there. Sorry. Let me know. Give me another little thumbs up. Usually you've just done a little mad little message, but I think I'm good. If Mason, I'm not sure whether Mason's going to be an out and out number 9. I think he possesses the ability to play there and to learn to play there. But by next year, do I think he's going to be ready to lead it week in, week out? I'm not so sure. I think his ceiling is super high, though. I think Mason Greenwood's ceiling is super high. He's got a lot to work on. What impressed me even from last year with Mason Greenwood was the fact that when he wasn't playing well in games, right? When he wasn't playing well in games, he was still finding a way to influence the game without scoring. Do you know what I mean? Or even assisting, maintaining the ball, learning his positional sense better. Being involved in the game, setting people, initiating the play, just looking after the ball and contributing to the attack, not necessarily getting a goal or assist, but contributing to the attack. I liked that. He started to mature a little bit, and then he added, I think he got 6 and 6 towards the end of the season in the Premier League, and started to add some goals to it. So he's learning, and especially for a player who's so young, if you're going from right wing to centre forward, and you're kind of interchanging, that can stunt your development in terms of what your niche is. What's my best position? Do you know what I mean? Mason's got it in the locker to come from the right side, cut inside on his left foot, or chop back again on his right and make something happen. But he's also shown he's got in his locker to occupy defences and look sharp. And and run the channels as a number 9, which I think he done excellently. I think Cam said it, Culture Cam said it. Big up Culture Cams when he come on the fan views at the game. He said Mason was running that line real good. He was. Do you know what I mean? He was showing a lot of maturity. Now that doesn't mean that Mason Green was going to be able to keep that up forever. Or no, not forever. He's not going to. That doesn't mean that he's going to be able to keep it up consistently week in, week out as a number 9. There's still things that Cavani has over him that Mason hasn't learnt yet, which is understandable because he's so young. Let me have a look what you lot are saying. Ujwal says, I'm a big fan of Greenwood. Oh, where's it gone? Ujwal says, I'm a big fan of Greenwood. I want to see him develop as a number 9, but I don't want to lose the chance of getting Haaland either. Look, I agree with you. We're good enough. We're good enough to have both. If the way that we're moving again with the likes of Sancho, with the likes of Varane in terms of the caliber of signings, people are starting to say we're starting to make big club signings. You know, we're starting to move like a big club again. Haaland should be our number 1 priority for a big club next year. I don't care. I honestly, regardless of how good Mason Greenwood has done, we should be extra potent. And then you have Haaland in there. That would probably mean someone like maybe Martial might have to go. I don't know by then. We'll have to see. Cavani will obviously be gone. But even forget Martial. That's just all it is saying we're going to replace Cavani with Haaland, with the squad we've already got. Guess what happens to Mason Greenwood? He keeps learning off the best, which would then be Haaland, even though there's not far a difference in age. And our squad looks unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? So I don't see why we can't go for Haaland. I agree. Tabara says we have Greenwood, go for a number 2 striker, Silva-like next year. A player I would like is from Dortmund is Bellingham. Greenwood is a 9 for me. Glazes out. So we have Greenwood, go for a number 2 striker. Does anyone agree with that? Let me know what you lot are saying in the comments there. I think this is key. Does anyone agree with putting the eggs in Mason Greenwood's basket next year and saying you're the main number 9 and then going out and buying someone to rival him? So not a Haaland, but just someone else. I don't know who that player would be. Let me see what you lot are saying there. I know I've just dropped the comments. So I'm going to wait a little while to see what you lot are saying. Over 500 people watching, which is sick. Smash a like on the video as well. Subscribe if you lot are new. Dylan says definitely not. Geordie says the problem is Ollie. He doesn't play players on merit. It's about favoritism. Samaji says yes. Gidara says we should not already put the pressure on the number 9 on Greenwood. So basically disagreeing with that. Not yet, says Atisha. And Arshan said Greenwood is more of a centre forward than a striker. He's more of a centre forward. What do you mean by that? Because I just think that they're kind of different names for the same thing. Do you mean centre forward as in he's a bit more mobile and can drop off the front and make things happen, as opposed to a striker as in just staying up there pure 9? Is that what you mean? I think a DM is more important, says Adam Wilmot. A DM is more important, especially now. But we're kind of looking forward to, I think, ahead to next season with this. Let's have both, says Bantu. 100% agree. We need a big boy number 9 who turns up every week, says Dylan. I agree with that too. And Ahmed says Greenwood still needs 2 more seasons so he's fully developed. Okay, hear that. And Simran, thanks for the super chat, says in 2.5 years, maybe, but next season we'll need someone like Haaland. Also, I'll be pissed if Varane doesn't start tomorrow. We'll talk a little bit about that. And Ali says, hey, Flex, love the show, and it's never bad to have 2 great strikers. I agree. We used to have those days when we used to have 4. If we get Haaland or someone else next, every good team always has 2 great strikers. So really, it's a bit of a mixed bag, but mainly people are saying it's too much for Greenwood and we should have 2 great strikers. I 100% agree with that. Striker along the front line and the CF is your number 9. I hear you on that, Jan. Greenwood should be the number 2, says Mr. Smith. I just think as soon as you don't go and get a Haaland and you say to Mason, do you know what? You're going to be the guy, the sole guy. We ain't even really got anyone to challenge you because you are the main number 9. I just think that puts a hell of a lot of pressure on him even for next year. 2 to 3 years, I agree. That is maybe something that we can look at. But we need to be going and getting Haaland or trying to get Haaland. Geordie Joshua says, Flex, we won't win the league without a CDM, guaranteed. I think football's a funny game. I don't think it's guaranteed that we can't win the league without CDM. I don't. I think it will make it more difficult, and we need other things to go in our favour if we don't have one, i.e. someone dropping off the boy a little bit, maybe City not going as ham as they normally do, Liverpool maybe slipping up a little bit of inconsistency from Chelsea. We probably need one of them teams to not go on that 20-game unbeaten run where they make it winning streak, where they make it so difficult, i.e. City. But I think if we get those kind of things, that there's enough in that squad to win the league if other factors help us. But I do agree to what you're saying to a certain extent in terms of to outright it being our own destiny for us to go on like winning games back to back and really, really pushing on. I do agree we need that CDM. Buju says, definitely Greenwood is our number 9. Why are you people saying no? He scores goals. We can all see he's different from last season. He is improving, says Buju. Interesting. You're basically saying, so Buju's basically saying, yeah, he's ready now. Mason is ready now. Let's have him there now. He's our number 9. I just still think it's too early, Buju. I honestly, like, I think he's growing. I think he's maturing. I think what hasn't helped him is the fact that, well, I suppose it's testament to how good he is, but it kind of has hindered him because he's gone from the right, then filled in the middle, then back to the right again. And when Cavani comes back or when Oli looks to change it, he's going to go back to the right again. Sancho might go to the left to fill in. Do you know what I mean? Just that little kind of moving about and not really finding a home has maybe made even us as fans maybe not really be sure of where his future lies. But he does look... The thing is that he does look quite very comfortable coming from the right. I really do like Mason coming from the right. But now we've got Sancho. Sancho should really be locking that down. Do you know what I mean? Obviously not at the moment because I think Sancho will be coming from the left-hand side potentially because of the absence of Rashford and Martial might not be there yet. But eventually you're going to see Marcus Rashford come back to the left. That's a shoo-in. And you're going to see Sancho on the right. And then that's where does Greenwood fit in then? That's what it is. Is it Cavani or is it Greenwood? Richmond for this season. Richmond says, afternoon flex, just want us to buy a CDM. I feel we can challenge and possibly get number 21, sorry. Positive vibes though. 100% Richmond. I agree. We all want that. And we've got a little bit of a Declan Rice update coming a little bit later on in the show. I want to talk about that. And just very quickly, another super chat here from Simran says, City won the league without a striker last season. They did. But the way City play football is incredible. It is when they're in full flow with all their players fit, although they didn't have a striker. It just proves how good they are when they hit full form, which they haven't done yet. I wanted to talk a little bit about Varane because someone said in the super chat earlier, I can't remember who it was, so apologies. They said, I'll be pissed if Varane doesn't start tomorrow. And you know what? I've been thinking about when the best time to play Varane is, when the best time to get him starting is. And really, I think it is tomorrow. I know Ollie's looking at him and knows that and needs to be sure he can give him 90 minutes. But, you know, Varane hasn't had any injuries. He's played in the Euro, so he's fit. Had his time out. He's been training now for a week. If he doesn't start tomorrow, I'm not going to go mad. You know me, I don't go mad. It takes a lot for me to go mad. I'm not going to go mad because, you know, the team out there should still be good enough to go and get a result. But then for me, he has to then start at Wolves and then be a shoo-in. But I think here's my thing on this. There's no perfect time to bring him in. A centre-back is a different situation. You can't start the centre-back to say, give me 60, 70 minutes and then I can take you off. You don't do that with a centre-half. And also, you don't keep a centre-half on the bench to say, I'll bring you on for the last 15 so you can get some minutes in your legs. It's either you can play and you're going to give me 90 minutes, or you can't play and give me 90 minutes. You can be on the bench in case someone gets injured and give me, 15, 20 minutes. But let's face it, when a centre-back is on the bench, it's not in the manager's forefront to have to bring that player on. Only injury or fatigue or something crazy, sickness or illness, can make the manager change the centre-back. Or actually, unless someone's dropping a 0 out of 10 and you've got to protect him, that I haven't even really seen that happen at Man United. I mean, it happened to Abue at Arsenal, I remember that. But the player's playing so bad that you sub him on and sub him. I mean, it's happened to Mata before. I remember when Jose did that, he subbed him on, subbed him off. But as a centre-half, for that to happen, you've got to be playing real bad. So back to my point. There's no good time. It's going to take time for Harry Maguire and Raphael Varane to form a relationship. So the quicker we get them into that relationship, the quicker we get Varane on the pitch, even if it's not the perfect preparation, they'll work it out. Because it's going to take 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 10 games for them to really get to, maybe even longer, to get to properly understand each other. And that only happens from playing them. So I agree with the person who said, I'll be disappointed. I think they said they'll be pissed. I'll be disappointed if Varane's not starting. I would be disappointed, but I wouldn't go off. But then he then has to start at Leeds, because then there's an international break as well where you can go off for 2 weeks. And Varane probably get picked for France, to be fair, and get some much needed minutes. But I just, the quicker we can get them two together, the quicker we can get our thing popping off with the relationship between Maguire and Varane. Tabarara says, Rashid, Martial, a second striker is enough behind Mason Greenwood. Rashford and Martial. Yeah, I hear that, Tabarez, but it's a bit utility, because even Rashford as a number 9, I'm not having that. Me personally, I think I've seen enough of Marcus Rashford in the number 9 position for me to prefer him on the left, coming from the left. I really do. I think Marcus Rashford potentially does see himself as a number 9. I think the way we're going with Mason being pushed into that position, obviously got experience Cavani, and when Cavani leaves, we'll obviously be in the market for a striker next year. I don't think it will come by the way of Marcus Rashford being promoted to a striker. I think Ollie sees him as a left winger, sometimes even a right winger, which I really don't like him on the right wing. But I can't see it, Tabarez. So when you're saying a backup striker is good enough with Rashford, I don't agree with that, because he could fill in for a game or two, but I mean, I wouldn't put him as our striker. Martial, again, he's getting a lot of disrespect at the moment. It's like Martial's a forgotten man. It's like he needs to reignite his Manchester United career after the season before last, when he was excellent. So we'll see what happens with Tony, but he can play from the left, which we know. And let's see what happens with him at number 9. Flex, every position in our team costs millions. Maguire 80 million, Sancho 75, Wan-Bissaka 50 million, Pogba 80 million, Martial 35 million. Martial was 50 million in it. Oh, etc. Still can't challenge. It's down to the manager. I think he's just building up the team to where he wants it to be, and he's getting there. Ollie will want to feel that. He, Harry, and Raphael are comfortable with the partnership before he starts, says Chris. Well, yeah, I get that, but they're only truly going to be comfortable with it once they play. Do you know what I mean? They need to play together. That's the only way. Like, training's one thing, yeah, attack against defense, whatever. 1-11 against 1-11, or playing small-sided games, 9-a-side, but setting up with 2 centre-backs and stuff like that. Harry and Varane doing their thing as a partnership. Yeah, that's cool. But it ain't the games. It ain't the real match day experience in the Premier League. And that's the only way we're going to find out whether or not that he's ready. That's the only way. That's the only way we're going to find out, for me, because they have to play together for us to learn, for them to learn. They've got to be together. It's as simple as that. So the quicker we can get them on the pitch doing that, the better it is for us, and the better it is obviously for them. Really enjoyed your appearance on Sky Sports News, Flex, says Mark Riley. Appreciate that. Damien says, man like Flex. How you doing, Damien? And Spencer Rice says, I'm going to watch the stream from the start. Yeah, make sure you lot do that if you join in late. Andreas Roy says, big up Flex. All signs point towards Varane starting tomorrow. At least if you heard about Solskjaer's admiration for him during the press conference. I did. And big up to Owen as well. He's done a great show yesterday covering that. And big up to Owen for this little background here as well, actually, by the way. Nice and plain, nice and simple. Like you lot know, at United View, we're small, we're growing, we're just trying to kind of elevate through the gears. And you lot are going to be really excited by these different stages that we hit in the community. So yeah, man, big up to Owen. He's been smashing it behind the scenes. Samuel says, well, Flex, has this show... has his show or what? Oh, that's cool. I hear you there, Samuel. Big up. It is cool. Surely Sancho will start. On Sancho, I do think he will start. Dan James, I mean, you see the admiration. That's another thing that was in the reports today and a bit of yesterday as well, was Solskjaer's admiration for Dan James, and Man United being very, very clear that they wanted him to stay and not go to the likes of Leeds, where he's been the top of Bielsa's shopping list for a long time. You see Dan James, yeah? Let me just keep it really simple with Dan James. I know people will say the clear simple thing is he ain't good enough. But Dan James has a place in the squad. I'll tell you why. Dan James can stretch your position and engage fullbacks very consistently, which does help us. Does he lack end product? Yes. Does he lack that bit of skill and that guile? Yes, but his understanding of the game is actually pretty good in terms of knowing where he needs to be, both in an attacking sense and a shape sense, which is important to the team. His willingness to run and engage and play at a high intensity is actually very useful to us. So listen, I've got no problem. Like Atisham says there, James is a squad player. I have no problem with Dan James being in the squad as a squad player. Sarragan says Ahmad and Pereira are both better than Dan James. Ahmad looks like he is, 100%, I agree. Dan James is a super sub, but play him in the start, he's useless. And Samuel says Dan James has a role to play, not really scoring, but he has determination. Yeah, I get that. He does have determination. And I'm not saying he should only be there because he has determination. I'm saying he does actually bring something to the team in terms of being able to get us up the pitch, being able to stretch teams. And what that actually does, which you don't always realise, and I'm not doing the whole, oh, if you don't go to games and you don't understand football. Of course not. You guys know me better than that. But when you are at the games regularly and you see him, like not on the TV, you can see what him stretching the team does for other players. It opens up spaces for a lot of players. Like I remember in the first half against Leeds last week, right? Now, don't get me wrong. I think Luke Shaw went through, passed it, looked like he could have shot, passed it to Dan James, and Dan James takes a touch, settles himself, should hit the target, probably should score, but doesn't and skies it. But the fact that he knew where to be and he's there stretching, that gives the opposition problems. It gives the opposition problems. And in a lot of big games, we've won a lot of big games with Dan James playing well, you know. We have. So should he be starting week in, week out on the right-hand side? No. Does he have a squad rotational place where he can come in and affect the opposition late in games? Yeah, I think where we've gone wrong with Dan James, which we've kind of addressed now because we've now got Sancho, and rightly so. Where we've gone wrong with Dan James is that we didn't have another player better than him and he had to play too many times. Solskjaer even admitted that from Dan James's first season. He said Dan probably played way too much. Do you know what I mean? So I think you have to look at it. I think he gets a lot of slander for not having the sprinkled, you know what I mean, being the finished article. I think he gets disrespected a little bit. I can see why people think he's not good enough to be starting and we should have better, which is why guess what, guys? That's why we've gone and got Jadon Sancho. So Dan James will go down the pecking order. But I do think he gets a little bit of a tough bargain because we've won so many games with him playing well, or he's been part of so many good performances. I honestly think that he has a place in the squad as a squad player. But the problem is that we haven't been using him as a squad player. So that does bring frustration. And I share that. But I do think he gets a bit of a rough ride. Brian says DJ's closing speeds on transition is unmatched in our squad. 100%. The way also as well, you see him, he kind of does like a little hop, skip and a jump. You see him, he's a bit like Bambi, but fast, even faster. Like when his opposite left back gets the ball, or the opposite left winger gets the ball, the way he kind of presses and knows how to shut them down, that is influential. It is, and it does help. He does win the ball back. I mean, he stopped the counter-attacking thing against Bamford, but bang, clattered straight into him against Leeds. So look, there are a lot of good things Dan James does, but for Manchester United and where we want to go, if he's starting week in, week out, there's an issue there. There's an issue there because he gets into fantastic positions and he lets himself down with that choice of pass, with that cross, with the shot, or choosing not to shoot when he should shoot, choosing to pass when he should shoot, or shoot when he should pass. Just indecisiveness, just generic indecisiveness. But and this is not a diss, but he's a £50 million player from Swansea. He's not a £73 million Champions League player, Bundesliga assisting king like Sancho. He's not as good as Rashford. He's not as good as Mason Greenwood. But he has a place. DJ's closing speak. Okay. Flex 100% right. Trivial DJ has not figured in a losing Premier League United team. He hasn't figured... What? He hasn't played in a losing Premier League team? He must have lost it. We must have lost the game with Dan James playing in the league. Of course. Surely. Bounty Lad says, Flex, Ollie said he is excellent in taking instructions from the coach and execute them. That's all that matters. There you go. That's another thing as well. You've got to talk about why players play week in, week out, and what makes a manager fancy a player. It is that application of, I need you to do this. Okay, cool, you're not taking the chances, you might make bad decisions. but I need you to be in this position. I need you to press. I need you to stretch us when it's tight and we need that outlet. I need you to be on your bike, and he does it. He does do it. Flex, if you know ball, how many Man United players get into City's team? James, McTominay, Fred, and Victor Lindelof. Oh, you're saying that they would? Jordy, Flex, if you know ball, how many United players get into City's team? Are you saying that James, McTominay, Fred, and Victor Lindelof wouldn't, or are you saying they would? I'm not really sure what you mean there. And lastly, I want to talk a little bit about Declan Rice as well. There was a report here, and this, let me go and grab it so you guys have the final quote from it. And this was from, oh, hang on a minute. Paul Pogba will stay at Manchester United. Some of the club is in talks to me. No agreement yet. Okay, so a tweet from Fabrizio Romano coming in right now, actually. I say right now, it's about 40 minutes ago. But we've been live. And this is Romano saying, Paul Pogba will stay at Manchester United this summer. And the club is in talks again with Mino Raiola about Pogba's contract, but no agreement has been reached yet. Man United are still working on a new contract for Bruno Fernandes. It has been a priority since July. He's happy to stay with negotiations ongoing about his salary. I don't see that being a problem as well. And Man United are still working to renew. Yeah, it is believed. Okay, that's cool. And then on the Declan Rice situation, which we'll talk about Paul Pogba situation in a sec, it's believed that both Man United and Chelsea may have already bid for Declan Rice. Rice had his valuation been... Oh, they would have already bid for Rice had his valuation been set between 60 and 70 million. And any approach to re-sign Jesse Lingard, and this is from Matt Law from The Telegraph, and he says any approach to re-sign Jesse Lingard on West Ham's part could prompt Man United to ask about signing Declan Rice, but he fears that West Ham have priced him out of the move, and there's talks that he's not signing a new deal because he's upset about that, which we kind of knew. Look, the Declan Rice situation, you guys know my thoughts on him. I like him. I think he's very similar to McTominay, but just a little bit better. Just a bit better. I know people think I'm mad for that, but that's just my opinion. But I do feel he will make us better if we signed him. I agree. What I would say is clearly big up to the mods as well. Big up Mimi sorting out the people coming in and spamming. Don't know why. Saddos, losers. Like, you've got nothing better to do in your day than just come and spam. I don't get that. Mustic K says Flex, you're the GOAT. Big up. And shout out, yeah, Mimi just sorting everything out. She's sorting everything out. Big up, man. Yeah, what I will say is Declan Rice. I would have him all day, but he is being priced out of a move. He is. Look, at the end of the day, I understand. It's one person. I understand why West Ham are putting that price tag on him. Like I said, with Jack Grealish at City. Like I said, with Ben White from Brighton. These are very influential players to those teams. They're entitled to put whatever price tag they want on them because that's the value that he holds to them and how influential he is to them. And they are trying to price him out of a move because it's like Aston Villa when they said, oh, we put 100 million on Grealish's head because we didn't think anyone would pay it. And then obviously Man City came through and pressed the button. So they know that people aren't going to pay 100 million for Declan Rice in this window. So that's what they're doing. Someone's saying that the volume's a little bit low on the mic. Is that true? Let me put a thumbs up if the volume is okay. If not, I'll turn it up a little bit. Actually, yeah, it looks all right to me. But I'll go off the feedback off you guys. Flex volume is a little bit low. Or are you lot saying I'm doing the flex voice though? Because yeah, you could be getting me. You know what? You lot are getting me. That's what you're doing. You're saying I'm doing the flex voice, innit? That's what you're doing. There's bare thumbs up in there. Yeah. Nah, the volume's fine. You lot are getting me. I'm not gonna fall for that. Interesting on the Paul Pogba situation. I will say that because you know the tweets coming out there from Fabrizio Romano. I think we've all kind of got comfortable with the fact that Paul Pogba's not going to go anywhere in the next 12 days or however long. There's 10 days. There you go. It's the 21st today. 10 days left to the 31st. I think we're all comfortable with the fact that there's not going to be a late bid from PSG and Man United are going to accept it. And Paul Pogba's going to leave in this window. So with that, that's kind of Fabrizio Romano. Like we know that. What is interesting is that they're saying that the club is in talks again with Mino Raiola because, as I understood it when I done that show a couple of days ago, there was no new offer on the table for Paul Pogba. The same offer that's on the table is the same offer from when he returned from his ankle injury, and we offered it to him then in the second half of last season. There hasn't been a renewed offer. Now, what Romano is saying is that they are starting to talk to Raiola again about a new contract, about a new offer. So we'll see how that works. And just to finish off on the Bruno situation, I think that's going to be. I hope I don't eat my words here, but I think that's going to be one of the easiest contract renewals ever. You know, Bruno should be one of the top earners, if not the. He's been absolutely unbelievable. You give him whatever piece he wants. You extend the contract. And he wants to stay here. He's happy. He knows how loved he is. He knows that the team is actually not built around Bruno, but he is the main figure alongside Paul Pogba, alongside hopefully the likes of Sancho, in terms of an attacking sense. So I think that will be a really easy contract renewal to do. I mean, how long has he been here now? A year and a half? You know, since he came in January 2020, he came, or back end of that, he's been the best attacking midfielder in the league. De Bruyne can't talk to him. Who else? David Silva, when he was there, couldn't talk to him. Jack Grealish can't talk to him. Who else? James Maddison can't talk to him. No midfielders can talk to him. Can't. Too many goals, too many assists. It's the facts. It's just the facts. Like, you can say that De Bruyne is better because of this and he looks better, and you know what I mean, De Bruyne, the way he moves and stuff like that, and he's been here longer. Well, that's all of that's fine, and you can say that, and I hear that. But if you think about it, you can only compare Bruno and De Bruyne since Bruno's come to the league. That's all we have to go off, because you can only compare them in the same league since they are in the same league. De Bruyne's got years on him because he's been here longer in a polished team. But the fact is, and this isn't my opinion, it's just the fact. The fact is that Bruno has come here and been more effective in that time frame than Kevin De Bruyne has. Like, because De Bruyne has had injuries as well. You take into consideration that, I get that, but he's consistently done it for Man United at a high level, and he's outscored a lot of other players and out-assisted them, because that's what the stats say. Do you know what I mean? I know stats ain't everything, and the eye test and the way De Bruyne moves and whipping the ball around, what a great ball and influence in the game. Yeah, all of that's beautiful. But I'm just saying the impact he's had, mate. And he's had a bigger impact than Kevin De Bruyne, in my opinion, and in numbers as well. Take that as you will. Do you know what I mean? Flex, hope you're well, mate. Looking really professional on Sky, says Tony Martial. I really enjoyed it yesterday, man. It was proper fun. Different sides, I suppose, but doing kind of the same thing. You guys know I love my football and talking about football in general. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. And you know what I just love the reception, man, because when you go on social media afterwards and people are reposting stuff and they're tracking the journey, and I think someone said, like, wow, what a journey, like going from working with special needs young people to doing this. And people, you lot just been rocking with me, innit? And it does, you lot don't understand how much, like, that spurs you on to keep doing what you're doing. And the people who hate, which is like a couple of people, they don't understand what part they play as well. They're fantastic, because what they do is they show you that you're doing so well that it burns them. Do you see what I'm saying? So I love to see that. And when these kind of people like can see you in real life and stuff, they even never say anything to you, or they don't have if you used to ask, do you know what's funny about people who say, like, who make up lies? I don't know why I've gone on to this. It's just because you lot were talking about the love and stuff like that and support. It's so funny because when people say, oh, he's not a real fan, or someone might say, oh, this person's fake, or not even just me. People do it to a lot of other influencers, so I will defend it. And they say, oh, they're not a real this, they're not a real that. When they see a clip or something, yeah, they won't say, oh, I disagree with what he said there about Solskjaer or Greenwood or Varane, or they come with a lie and negative energy, because it's like, oh, I do agree with, like, I don't necessarily look at the content of what he's actually saying. I don't disagree with what he's saying. It's a bit weird. I find that weird. Instead of saying, oh, that person's clueless because what they're saying isn't right, or I don't agree with it, they go off of a narrative of just lies, of something that's just been put out there that they've already made their decision on. So those people are ignorant. You can't change their minds, and that's what you got to do. You just got to ignore those people. And if you ever come across them, blow them a kiss, give them a smile, and just love. That's it. It's as simple as that. But concentrating on the positivity, yeah, you lot were sick, and I did enjoy it on Sky Sports. I'll be back on there on Friday as well. Smash the like on the video, guys. Subscribe if you lot are new. Thank you very much for watching. It's been a blast. And tomorrow, make sure you guys are locked in from the beginning of the day. We will have your boy KG. I don't know why I've allowed him to do it, but I am going to allow him to do it. He's going to be doing a match viewing. So make sure you guys check that out. Owen will be coming straight through afterwards with the live match reaction. So check that out. And then you will hear from yours truly live on the ground from St. Mary's, hopefully with 3 points in the bags, speaking to the fans at the game. So big day for United View tomorrow. Make sure you guys check it out. Again, subscribe if you lot haven't subscribed. The road to 100K is hot. It is ready. It is taking pace. And we are doing really well. So, yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. My prediction, actually, I didn't even do a prediction. My prediction for tomorrow, 2-0. I'm going to go for, I think we'll be comfortable. I think we'll have to ride out maybe the first 20 minutes, half an hour. There will be some uncomfortable moments. It's Southampton's first game back. With fans, I get that, but they're going through a bit of a transition. I think once we settle down and start dominating the ball, I think we can win the game quite comfortably. So yeah, roll on tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. We go again. Peace.